Welcome back everyone to another 89 Games review. Today we are talking about a game that actually came out last September, but I only recently discovered it. Actraiser Renaissance is the remake of the first Actraiser game on the Super Nintendo. Actraiser was a god sim game where you led your people to fight off the monsters of the realm by use of miracles in the sim mode and by incarnating in side-scrolling platformer stages where you would fight off enemies with your sword and magic spells. The remake Actraiser Renaissance follows the same basic formula, but expands on it by adding several new mechanics while removing or changing others, and adding a whole new area at the end of the game. Though I didn't get to play the original much, I played just enough to be intrigued, so when I saw the remake, I had to give it a try. The most unique aspect of Actraiser Renaissance is its seamless combination of simulation settlement building with platforming action stages. These are not two genres you typically see combined, but it works really well here. Starting out with the platforming stages, the level design was good, and more complex than just walking right and hitting things. Each stage has hidden golden statues that you can find to get a permanent increase to your health and magic. Finding these often requires you to travel up or down and then back to find them, making for complex level design. The levels will have you going up, down, forward, and backward, sometimes for hidden statues, and sometimes just to progress. My only complaint, that may not apply to everyone, would be that after hitting a checkpoint, you can't go back to get a gold statue you may have missed. You'll have to play through the whole level again if you want to be able to go back and get it. The enemies in these stages were all well designed as well, and challenge you to learn their patterns to get past them more easily. None of them felt unfair or cheesy like you can get in a lot of platformers, and you are rewarded for playing smart and not just bashing your way through a level. With that said though, I found normal difficulty to be a little too easy. Hard mode will give you a decent challenge though, as you will take much more damage, making each mistake far more costly. You also have access to magic spells unlocked as you play through the simulation scenarios. These spells are each unique and have situations in which they work best, though calling down the meteors from the sky seems to be the most effective, and cool. The bosses are each unique and fun to fight. The process of learning their patterns and then exploiting them to win the battle is a lot of fun. Though again here, if you truly want to be challenged, you might want to play on hard difficulty. I found most of the bosses just a little too easy on anything less. Finally, the controls and the animations in the platformer stages are solid and responsive. I never had any issues hitting a platform, jumping gaps that you're meant to jump, or with attacking too slowly. Moving on now to the simulation side of the game, you will spend the majority of your playtime here guiding your people, protecting them from monsters, and completing various quests related to the story. Being a god sim, you will not directly control your people or what they build, but you will determine where they build by guiding them to lay down roads and by eliminating obstacles to their expansion by way of zapping trees and rocks with lightning, melting ice and snow with sunlight, or other similar processes. While expanding the settlement, you will be harassed by monsters coming from several spawners across the map. Left alone, they will destroy your farms, workshops, and houses. This is where you use your angel to fight them off using its bow, or your miracles. These constant threats keep you busy and help keep the settlement building segments interesting. The one thing you do have power where to place is your defenses. As your settlements level up, they will gain access to more forts, which you can then place to defend the settlement during a horde raid. Horde raids are tower defense segments where you must protect certain objectives using your forts, miracles, and heroes. Sometimes it's just your temple, but often the objectives may include your farms, workshops, or defensive structures, or a certain percentage or number of them. You'll also gain access to a new hero in every settlement. These heroes can be used during raids to help defend the settlement, and each hero has their own stats and specialties, which adds in another strategic layer in deciding where and how to use them. During the raid, you can directly control where your hero is and move him or her to weak spots in your defenses. Later on, you will be able to summon multiple heroes during the raids. The simulation mode is surprisingly relaxing and fun to just kick back and play. It has just enough going on and moves at a decent enough pace to keep you playing without losing interest. Each time your people open up a monster spawner, you descend to destroy it in a small side-scrolling stage with a mini boss fight. This helps to break up the gameplay and keep you engaged as well. Though, these stages can be a little repetitive as they don't change much throughout the game. After meeting certain objectives, your settlement will level up. When this happens, you can use your lightning or earthquakes to destroy parts of your settlement so they can be rebuilt and upgraded, as your people will not upgrade the buildings on their own. These level ups also allow you to upgrade your forts. The settlement raids are a good way the game mixes things up too. These can actually provide a fun challenge, especially in a later game or on hard difficulty. Each raid will occur in a certain way with the same enemies coming from the same points each time it is replayed. This allows you to reposition your defenses to better positions if you failed on the first attempt. The raids are all different enough that you will often have to move your defenses around to different places to counter each new raid. Toward the end of a settlement story, you will have a raid with a boss monster in it. These bosses are best fought with your heroes, keeping them tied up and making the placement of your defenses all the more important. Overall, the simulation segments are fun and the pacing is done pretty well, keeping the whole game moving and interesting. The game also has story scenes that play out revolving mostly around your heroes and their backstories and growth. For as short as these stories are, they are actually a nice little addition and well done. I mean, they aren't going to blow you away or anything, but they are interesting and make you care at least a little bit for your heroes. My only complaint is how often you are interrupted by your people with a quest or heroes with a story segment. Sometimes I would have just finished a monster spawner level and got the level up for my settlement, and just as I was starting to clear land and get things upgraded, I would get interrupted again by another story segment or quest. These constant updates were good to keep the game moving along, but I just wish you could get a notification instead and go into it on your own time rather than be pulled into it without warning. Despite the few small gripes I mentioned, the gameplay in Actraiser Renaissance kept me coming back for more, and I thoroughly enjoyed both the simulation and platforming sides of the game. Gameplay gets a score of 9 out of 10. The graphics and sound in Actraiser Renaissance are both top-notch. I really enjoyed the highly detailed and stylized art in the platforming stages, and the hand-drawn look of the simulation stages gives the game a lot of charm. Each character's portrait gives them a lot of character, and they are all unique and beautifully drawn. The enemies and bosses are all well designed too, and have excellent animations. The boss animations give you just enough time to realize what move they are about to do, and to react to it. I really enjoyed the graphics in Actraiser Renaissance, and they get a score of 9 out of 10. The soundtrack is simply amazing, and you have the option of playing both the new version or the original versions from the Super Nintendo. Both versions are composed by Yuzo Koshiro, the original composer for Actraiser, and sound amazing. They give you the feel of being a powerful Lord of Light on a mission to destroy evil. Honestly, the music is a huge part of what makes this game so enjoyable to play. The sound and music gets a score of 9 out of 10. Actraiser Renaissance is a solid game, and a great one to add to your library if you're just looking for something a little different and lighter than most of the big games out there these days. A playthrough will take you between 15 and 20 hours, maybe a little more if you want to do everything or go for the high scores in the special mode unlocked after the main game. At $30 US, you definitely get your money out of this one. Actraiser Renaissance gets an 89 game score of 9 out of 10. If you'd like to see another review, you can watch this video here, and as always, thanks for watching, and keep on gaming.